Welcome, everybody, to Cinema Royale. I am Travis Hopson of PunchDrunkCritics.com, and I am here with my homie Chris Bumbray of JoeBlow.com to talk about this little indie film that's coming out this summer called The Odyssey from some guy named Chris Nolan. You ever heard of this guy?
Never heard of him. I'm sure he'll go far.
He's got to come out of nowhere with this movie.
YouTube guy, right? YouTube guy.
Of course, this is one of the most anticipated movies of the year. Maybe the most anticipated movie of the year. Is there a bigger movie coming out other than the Odyssey this year? I can't think of.
I mean, for me, the only other one that I feel like comes close is probably Digger. I'm really psyched for that.
Yeah. Digger looks pretty good too. But in terms of scale, the Odyssey is by far the biggest movie to come out, and it's another epic from Christopher Nolan based on Homer's epic poem. Of course, I've read it multiple times. I've read the Iliad multiple times, so I was really excited for this. I'm a Greek myth fanatic.
Have you really? I thought you were joking. Really? Oh,
no,
good for you, man.
No,
wow.
Seriously, I really love this stuff.
Mr. Sophistication.
I don't know about that. I just love mythology, so that's my main thing here. But
we were just talking about Brian Bosworth, and you're like,
right?
The Iliad.
We're talking about Navy SEALs a second ago. Yeah. No, but I love the Odyssey, and I've loved multiple versions of it. I mean, before the screening, we were talking about all these other movies. We were talking about The Return, which just came out just a couple of years ago with Ralph Fiennes, and how it's like the mini version of this story about his comeback, about Odysseus' return home, with not so much the journey. And we were talking about it in reference like all the complaints about the multicultural aspects of the Odyssey that people have been bitching and moaning about, which is funny because there have been decades of adaptations where nobody gave a shit when it was just a bunch of white people. But
there's no Greeks in this movie.
No, I know, but they put a couple black people in it, and everybody starts getting up in arms.
There's no Greeks in this film either. Like it is what it is. Like it's the same thing as adapting the modern vernacular. He's trying to, I think it is getting to the point now when you watch a movie like this, you're going to have an audience that's very wide and very diverse. And I think that it's off-putting to them in some ways, if they don't see that reflected. Like it's not like you're doing a World War II movie or something like that, and you're talking about a platoon that wasn't integrated, and they're all like, that's different, right? This is like, it's a fantasy epic, so there's nothing wrong with, like you said, it's not like these are American actors playing Greeks, so it's not like they're trying to be historically accurate. If they were, the whole movie would be Greek actors speaking Greek, exactly. Or ancient Greek.
Exactly. And I think even so, if you were trying to be historically accurate, you would still find people from all sorts of cultures from all over the place who converged on these places. And it's just like, you would see all sorts of different people, and I don't know why people get upset over stupid shit like this, especially stuff that's rooted in myth. It's like, shut the fuck up already.
It is true. You would see different people. It's not like
it's absolutely ridiculous. So,
and they wouldn't be white people like we think of white people now. Like they would look very different. Like it's just genetic. It would be very different anyway.
Exactly, you're 100% right. So, what were your impressions of the Odyssey? Did you get to see it in 70 millimeter like I did?
We saw it. So we saw it in 70 millimeter, but I was really disappointed in that aspect because I really wanted to see it in IMAX because the movie was shot for IMAX, and Montreal has a 70 millimeter IMAX screen. For some reason, and I know that they showed it to a lot of press this way too, in 70 millimeter scope. And I thought that was almost like watching the movie in pan and scan because so many of the shots felt compromised. I wanted to see it with a friend of mine. He was like, where's the scope? Like, it just didn't seem like it had that epic scope that a Nolan movie would have. And I'm like, well, if we saw the whole movie, because it was shot with IMAX cameras, it would have had that scope. And I almost feel like I have to reserve judgment until I could see it a second time, at least on a visual level, because I wasn't really impressed by any of the shots in the film. But I think that if I saw them in IMAX, I would feel completely differently, Right. So, there's a lot of other things I appreciated about the movie, and I really liked it. It's a lot of movie, and it takes it's a full meal, so it takes you have to kind of absorb it. It was why I was glad that I had at least the day to write my review. But on the visual level, I was really disappointed that we didn't see it the way that it was intended. And I know Nolan's been saying that, oh, every version is the way it was intended, but I really don't buy it. I think he composed this movie for IMAX, and if you don't see it in IMAX, you're not seeing, like I said, you're seeing pan and scan almost.
Yeah. I was a little disappointed as well. So we saw it in 70, but not in IMAX as well.
And very dark in the 70 millimeter version that I saw. Although I think that might be the theater I saw it in. I think they just don't know how to do 70 millimeter.
Mine wasn't overly dark. We saw it at the AFI, which is funny because the Regal Majestic with the IMAX is right around the corner. So I was like, in fact, I went there first. I went to the IMAX theater because I just saw it like on habit. I was like, I went there and I was like, we almost never see anything at the AFI, and so I went to there and the guy was like, yeah, I think
where's Odyssey at?
I did. I was like, the screening. He's like, I think you're at the wrong theater, and I was like, fuck me. But I was afraid it was like across town at like Georgetown or something. And I was like, oh, thank God it's just an AFI. I can walk briskly and be there in 5 minutes. So,
what'd you think?
I really enjoyed it. Like you said, it is a lot of movie, but that is a lot of story. And the thing that for me, if I had like a complaint, which is I feel fairly minor, it's a bit clunky when moving from scene to scene because there's so much stuff. Like you're trying to follow Odysseus' 10-year journey home and all his encounters, the Cyclops and the Sirens and all this stuff. And then you got to jump back home to follow what's going on with Penelope, played by Anne Hathaway, his wife, and Telemachus, played by his son. They got their own things going on at the same time. It's a whole lot of stuff that he's trying to like keep going back and forth on. And sometimes it feels a little clunky as he's moving in between them.
I would like to see it again. Like, I do feel like it's one of those movies, and you know what? Honestly, a lot of Nolan movies are like that, where the more you watch them, the more you appreciated them. Like, I didn't really like Tenet the first time I saw it, and then I saw it again, and it kind of sank in more for me. Like, I still don't think it's one of his best, but I like it more than I do.
But I agree. The second time I saw Tenet, I liked it better than the first time I saw it, and the dreadful sound quality.
That's still a problem with that movie. The sound in the Odyssey is good.
Yes, it really is. I appreciated Nolan's take on it, though, because certain things look different than I've ever seen them depicted. Like
the Cyclops. I mean, that
Cyclops looks completely different than any version I've seen. I thought the thing that first took me was the dragging in of the Trojan horse. Which you see upright on wheels,
and it looks
carted in. It's literally like this massive thing being dragged in by like hundreds of slaves, and I've never seen it like captured quite like that before. But it makes more sense that it'd be like that than like the other way, the easier way of like this upright statue being carted on wheels. It's like that doesn't make nearly as much sense as the way Nolan is depicting it.
Well,
stuff like that I thought was really well done.
And then the practical stuff, like the fact that they're able to do that scene with Samantha Morton practically is incredible.
She's
and
fantastic,
that's a great scene. Yeah, I
see why there was so much buzz about the few minutes she had in the movie, because they're so strong.
That's one of Nolan's best sequences ever. Like it really is. That whole sequence is a masterpiece. Whatever anybody says about the movie, that sequence stands up. It's incredible.
Nice little dose of body horror in there for you too.
Yeah. Poor Himish Patel, man.
I know.
Having a rough time in this movie.
I know, but he gets surprising amount of screen time considering, and the same for Elliot Page, who's in the movie. Not a ton, but has a really important role in a couple of scenes.
Our audience, though, Pattinson in the movie, people were like almost booing whenever he was on screen because he was such a bastard. I mean, I think people really loved him in the movie, but like at the end, like people were like sneering and stuff.
It's a surprising crowd pleaser, but that goes to the strength of the material, but also I think the strength of Pattinson's performance as a really dickhead heel suitor, and Damon, who I think is really, really good as a Disney.
Oh yeah, Damon's incredible in it. It's one of his best roles ever.
It really is. The people in our screening were cheering for him to basically turn into Jason Bourne at the end of the movie. So
who was surprisingly great too was John Leguizamo.
Yeah, He almost didn't
like
even
really
look like
good.
John Leguizamo anymore. He looked
Yeah,
like completely different.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Zendaya is, I mean, it's a small role for Zendaya, but important. But the only thing, my only caveat with the movie was that if I were Matt Damon and I was stranded on an island with Charlize Theron, just I would have probably stayed on that island forever, just eating those flowers,
I think a lot of guys would have been like, I had a previous life. What? Yeah, forget it. I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm good.
eating flowers with getting high on the lotus with Charlize Theron wearing like her netting
I
and
know.
stuff.
It's like, she's never going to get old either.
I'm good, man. I'll stay here for a while.
I
I'm gonna
know.
stay
It's
here.
like that's like the one thing like that rang like the most false is like, who's going to leave that situation? You're going to
Yeah,
just
yeah.
stay.
I'm good, man. I'm good. Yeah, yeah, no problem. No, Odysseus is dead, man. Sorry.
No, but I do think this is one of his best films, which is saying a lot when you consider like the bar that he's set. I mean, the bar he's set is really incredible.
I'm not ready to say it's one of his best films yet because I do feel like for me with Nolan, I have to see them
You do have
twice.
to see it multiple
You know,
times before you
like
agree
it's
on that.
and let it sink in a bit. But that's what's great about Nolan, though. The fact that he makes these big movies. You know, he's like Anderson, like Paul Thomas Anderson, or like the great directors who you go to see it. It's more than just entertainment. There's like a lot to chew on because it's a major work. You
Yeah.
know, and it'll be the kind of thing that's discussed years from now. You know, people will still be watching the Odyssey in 20 years. I don't know that people are going to be talking about a lot of other movies that came out this year. You know,
I feel
that
like
so
that's
that
the way for a lot of Nolan's films. We talk about almost all of his movies still. I mean, we still
oh,
talk about Interstellar
absolutely
a
all of
lot.
them. And everybody seems like they have a different favorite too, which is really interesting. You know, they're the people
My
that are
favorite,
into
my
the
favorite film ever.
prestige. There are the people that are into Interstellar. I always thought that it was Dark Knight that everybody loved, but like I was talking to a lot of people, and it's like a lot of them have really different takes. Everybody's got a favorite, and I think
Yeah.
that that's really great. You know, I think that there's very few directors
He's a
like that.
lot like he's like Spielberg in that way. Everybody's got
Yes,
a favorite Spielberg movie,
yeah,
and in a lot of ways he feels like the new Spielberg to me. Like when I'm like a Spielberg, like the Disclosure Day doesn't have like this. He doesn't have carry the same cachet as he used to. It feels like
no,
no one has kind of stepped into that void. Where like every movie he makes is this gigantic must-see event film. Like it doesn't
yeah,
matter what it is. If he made like Oppenheimer, just based on what it was about, should have been like this little small movie that maybe a few people would have seen and it would have been critically acclaimed. But no, it goes on to make $1 billion,
yeah,
and
exactly,
it's because of Nolan. It's not
yeah.
because people are like really interested in Oppenheimer. They're really interested in Christopher Nolan,
And I think
and
that the
it's
crowd that says this movie is going to flop, I think they really don't know what they're talking about. I think that it'll probably do relatively well opening weekend. But the thing about Nolan's movies is people go back on week two and on week three, and it's going to be consistent. It's like he's like James Cameron that way. You
yeah.
know, he's not an opening weekend guy. He's a guy that people make appointments to go see his movies. People that don't normally go see movies will go see a Christopher Nolan movie,
Yep.
you
And
know?
then they
So,
go and
I
then
think
they
people
tell their
get that.
friends, "You got to come with me to see this movie,"
Yeah.
and
And
that's
all the
what happens.
online noise that you're getting is just that. It's noise. These
Yeah,
people that are bitching about it, we're never going to go see it anyway.
never going to see
You
it.
know?
They were never going to go see it,
Yeah.
or they're going to go see it and act like they didn't.
Yeah.
It is pretty wild. I've seen some of the early like letterboxed reviews and people like giving it 1 star, and I'm just like,
They clearly didn't see it. I mean, it's
you
going to
didn't
get
see
review
it.
bombed, and it's just so ridiculous. It
Yeah,
really is. I mean,
it's
it just makes no. It just you look at it and you're like, why the fuck does the internet exist? You know, it's just like it's kind of like I mean, I get if you would cast Elliot Page as Achilles, maybe then I could see how people might be like, it doesn't quite work because Elliot Page is so small, but. That's not what happened, and Elliot Page's role is actually really good. And
yeah,
I actually thought Lupita Nyong'o was excellent as Helen of Troy. It's a small role, but I thought she was quite good. I like the thing that they did in this movie is something that I've always been fascinated by is that what would happen to Helen after she went back with Menelaus
yeah,
because there would be a consequence. They wouldn't just live happily ever after. And
yeah.
it's depicted in a pretty interesting way. Not only does she have to live with what she caused, but also the consequences to her
Consequences.
as a person, and I think that the movie did that in a way that was really interesting because he wins and not only that, but also Menelaus, even though what he did to her, you could say is cruel, he's not portrayed as a bad guy in the movie. He's pretty sympathetic.
Yeah. I always like the differing depictions of these characters by depending like the actors. Like I was talking about Troy before the movie, which is another
Yeah,
movie that I absolutely fucking love. Especially
yeah.
the director's cut version of Troy is
No, it's
amazing.
way better, way
It's
better.
way better. It's way
Yeah.
better. But you look at like the actors who played those roles, like Brian Cox, and like the way they're so different compared to like how those characters are portrayed in this one.
Well, it's
Um,
Josh Safety instead of Brian Cox's Agamemnon. But that's the thing though. It's just a different take. Like that. It's Troy has been made and it was great.
yeah,
But like now that was 20 years ago. Now it's time for another take. And
yeah,
somewhere down the line, maybe they'll do another version of the Odyssey. I mean, it's one of those stories that's been told over and over and over again. Nothing is sacred. It's the same thing as a Christmas Carol. You'll get lots of different versions of that.
yep.
They don't all have to be the same.
Yep, exactly. And I think those two movies, I would watch Troy and this back to back as a nice little double feature. Like just spend that'd be like your entire day if you watch
Well,
both
they
of those
do different
movies.
things. They do different things. That's the. I
Yes, they
mean,
do.
like Troy is kind of the epic kind of adventure version, but it also shows you like the mindset of a soldier. I think maybe more
It
so
also
than
does.
the
It also
Odyssey.
features like none of the gods. Like
No,
it takes out like all
yeah,
the deities and stuff like that. It removes all that and focuses on the people. So
yeah.
different.
Whereas the Odyssey, it's very specific. It's Odysseus's journey, and I like the way that they kind of depict the fall of Troy. It's not this heroic like swashbuckling thing. Like it was.
It's brutal. It's brutal. It's
Yeah,
ugly. It's nasty.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know.
As it would be, as it would be.
Yeah, and Odysseus isn't necessarily portrayed in those sequences as like some conquering hero.
No,
I mean,
but I think that's
quite differently, actually.
but I think that's the genius of Damon's performance, though, because he's very human, and you understand that this guy has multitudes. There's a lot to him, and he gives a very different performance when he's the young Odysseus versus the old Odysseus. It's not like he's just wearing a different beard or something. Like he really. So I think his, no matter what anybody says about the movie, nobody can criticize Damon's performance in this movie. He fucking brings it. Like it's one of his greatest ever. But he's such an underrated guy too. I find, we always kind of have underrated Matt Damon, whereas if you look at his filmography, like he's the most consistent probably movie star of the last 30 years probably.
Yeah,
Or one of them.
he doesn't. He doesn't. I think because we remember him from his younger days, we kind of expected him to be like this huge superstar, but he never really projected himself to be that way. He never really like geared his career towards doing that.
No,
He
he's
kind
like
of,
Tom Hanks in that way, or
yeah,
he's like a James Stewart or something. He's the everyman,
yeah,
and I think that's why he's been so consistent.
totally.
Paul Newman back in the days, a little bit like Paul Newman.
Completely agree. So those are our thoughts on the Odyssey. It opens this weekend. It's projected to make about 200 mil this opening weekend, which I will see if that pans out or not.
Worldwide, they're saying worldwide, but I don't know. I mean, we'll see. It might do more than that.
It might do more than that. The runtime will limit it to some degree, but again, this is going to be one of those movies that I think people are going to see multiple times.
Yeah.
So it's going to get repeat viewing. I think it's going to be huge.
Well, it's like Sinners. The first weekend it made 45 million. People are like, that's great. Then the second weekend it made 45 million as well. So that's kind of how these movies go.
Yeah, yeah. Big aspirations for the Odyssey. I hope it meets them. I think it's one of the best movies of the year already. Without having seen it the second time, and I'll probably like it more the second time.
Me too.
So, all right, everybody. That is my homie Chris Bumbray. Go see him at joeblow.com, one of the best movie sites in the world. And he's one of my favorite writers ever. Of course, he's also my best friend. So and then, he's better than me. Just kidding, he's not. Anyway, go see him there and go see me at punchdrunkcritics.com and go check out the Odyssey this weekend. All right, I will see you next time, folks. Bye. Thanks for checking out the show. If you like what we're laying down, please subscribe to our channel and click the bell to receive notifications for all of our latest stuff.